In the late 80s, when I finally left my parents' house, I came to New York City with nowhere to go. So I ran into some people that I had met previously coming back to the city. So I wound up going to this place called Under 21, which is a youth shelter. It was very scary because they put you in this big dorm with all of these people. But at this point, it was better than sleeping on the street or in Port Authority or something like that, because I refused to go home. I stayed there for about 4 months. But in the process of staying there, I was meeting different people that were opening my eyes to the trans world. Wound up getting some fake ID, and I wound up getting a job. So you only can work a job for a certain amount of time because they start digging into your background. So you go from one little job to another little job to another little job just to keep yourself safe. Then I couldn't get another job, so then hang out with certain people. They introduced me to a world that I would never forget. It was a part of my life. I had to go out and do street work, sex work, which is not, I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed of it. I talk about it because it was part of my life where I had to survive. During the course of doing all that, that's when I met some people who protected me, who taught me how to survive in this type of environment. I remember the first time I did it, I cried because I felt violated, because I was letting some man touch me for money. And I had to sit there and deal with it. Actually, he threw me out of the car because I wouldn't stop crying, because it just didn't feel right to me. But if you have to do what you have to do to survive. And back in those days, you didn't have laws to protect you from certain things. So I tried to go back to Long Island to reconcile with my parents, but that just didn't work because they were still stuck in their ways that you can't come around here dressed like this or looking like that. And at this point in my life, there was no turning back. Me and my roommate decided to go to Philly to visit, but we didn't come back. We wound up renting a house because we met these two brothers who are supposed to be our boyfriends, who just used us and we didn't know it. It got to the point where I was actually being pimped and did not realize it until the end. I got hit because I didn't make money, enough money. When I feel threatened, I have to escape. So I have to figure out my best exit without being harmed. So I said, yes, I'll go out and I get you anything you want. You know, I love you. I had to tell him what he wanted to hear. So when I went out, I just never came back. I completely disappeared. I got on the next train. I made money and I got on the next train to New York. I wound up meeting some other people who decided to show me other options instead of being out there on the street. It was a program called Streetworks, and how I met them, found out about them, is a friend of mine that was in Midtown, and a friend of mine said, oh, we can go there to take a shower and get some new clothes and all this other stuff. So I said, okay, let's go. So when I went there, and at this time they were on 10th Avenue and 40-something Street. And it was a really small place, really, really small. And I got introduced to my caseworker, who told me I can, do steps to get myself better. And at this point I was homeless. I was going from this shelter to that shelter to this shelter to that shelter to try to survive. being a trans woman, certain shelters would not allow you to come in because it was a quote unquote a men's shelter, and you're supposed to look like a man. And when you have certain aspects, they're like, oh, you can't come in here because we can't be responsible for what was happened to you. So it was kind of hard bouncing from place to place. But ultimately, I wind up getting a room, and from a room, I got an apartment. And that's when I started a brand new life. There's always a way out of a bad situation if you want a way out. There are people that I know that stay in the predicaments that they're in because they want to stay there. When I was in all of those predicaments where I was the prostitution and this and that, I wanted to be there because I thought the people that I was with were helping me, so I wanted to be there. But when I realized that what they were doing, it wasn't for me, it was more or less for them, is when I got out. So people have to realize that if someone's not there for you, they're there against you. Open your eyes and listen. And if it's something that's gonna be harmful to you, then run. Just run.